So you've been playing Reckoning.
Yes.
What is it?
It is a large-scale open world, oh my god, we're challenging everybody RPG kind of thing. Apparently EA wants to be the kings of role-playing, I guess. At least it's they're aiming for it with both this and all the BioWare stuff and all that. Reckoning is a huge RPG with a sort of boring story and a world that's not that interesting, and an excellent combat system that makes up for all the slights it might have.
Okay, but is it like
Skyrim? Here's the thing. I think Skyrim's a little boring. Yeah. I think in particular the combat in Skyrim isn't all that interesting.
That's true.
Yeah. Whereas combat in Reckoning kicks all sorts of ass.
Okay.
It's it reminds me actually a bit of God of War. In the way that it's sort of, it's completely action oriented. It's a timing based, special moves, wonderful controls. There are 3 typical RPG archetype classes that you can sort of pick and choose or mix and match between. So you have your magician, you have your stealthy rogue type character, and you have your big brawly fighter with heavy armor and swords. But the really cool thing about it is that you're not restricted to just going with either one of those. You can mix and match the skill trees. They have skill trees like in pretty much every RPG ever. If you've ever played World of Warcraft, you'll recognize the overall structure. But you mix and match between these, and there are no penalties for doing so. So if you want, a guy in a plate armor wielding a sword shooting fireballs, you can do that.
Doesn't sound that balanced, but.
Well, I mean, if you're rewarded for going deep, obviously. So if you specialize in something, you get some stuff that you probably couldn't get if you didn't mix. But still, I mean, there are options, and the game sort of actively encourages you to mix and match, because there are these something called destinies, which is basically, okay, if you put 20 skill points into this, and then through that you get these bonuses, and you can pick between those as well.
Loot.
Loot.
How does that work? I mean, for me, an RPG is about loot. If I can equip something and see it on my character, I'm happy.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not a we're not talking Diablo loot hoarding here, but it's still you'll get plenty of upgrades, and there's crafting as well, and it's a nice simple crafting system where you don't have to grind anything to get to the really top tier level stuff. You just have to find the match. It's not where you have to make like 10 shitty swords before you can make a good one.
No.
And I think actually the inventory system is really sweet, because first of all, you can always tell by a little number in the corner whether the weapon you're looking at right now is better than what you're already carrying, how much total damage it does. And you'll always end up with a bunch of stuff that you don't really need. But there's an option whenever you pick something up to just add it to junk with one button press, and it gets put in a special own little folder in its inventory. And then when you get to a shopkeeper, you say sell junk, and kaboom, you have like 20,000 gold pieces that you didn't have before. I really like that.
Developers, take note.
Developers, take note.
You were talking about, well, we're comparing it to Skyrim just before. How's the story in this one?
It's, I was hoping it would be better. The basic setup is there's this giant world called Amalur, and there are there are mortal races like people and elves, they're sort of called, and some immortal races like high elves and some other guys, and and some of these immortal elvish type people have suddenly decided that we want to eliminate all mortal life on Earth. So that's the sort of overarching conflict. They have to be stopped, obviously. Your character wakes up on a pile of corpses, having just been revived, and has no idea who he is. But he's the first person to ever be revived in something called the Soul Well, which is a machine that some gnomes are working on trying to restore life to dead people. You're the first one who worked on, and you can't remember jack shit. And as soon as you're awake, pretty much the guy who resurrected you gets apparently killed by these evil, we want to kill all the mortal races type guys who are invading the Soul Well pretty much the same moment as you wake up. So you have no idea where you are, where you came from, or really where you're going. So that's the more personal story, trying to figure that stuff out. It's a bit like Planescape Torment in that regard, which is one of the greatest role-playing games of all time. And compared to that, the story is not that thrilling and that gripping, and it takes a really long time to get going. But the actual amount of content is just huge. There are tons and tons and tons of side quests to the point where you could probably get sidetracked for 30, 40 hours probably not doing the mainline quest.
Is it seamless?
Yeah, it is. It's not like Skyrim where you can just stand on a mountaintop and go in any direction you want and probably find something. It's more like World of Warcraft where there are different zones or areas that are sort of contained, but you know, then you head through a mountain pass without any loading, and then you're in a new sort of place. There's loading when you switch from like a lush forest environment to a desert environment, or you go into a huge town from outside from nature. But most of the areas are pretty seamlessly interconnected.
So to me, it sounds like a step up from Fable, where you had a lot of the same kind of action fighting, as far as I understand, but you had to wait and load every time you wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah, there's not much loading. There's a little loading, particularly if you go inside and outside. But you know, it's a little bit more loading than Skyrim, less loading than a lot of other games, and loading is fairly fast, at least if you install on the Xbox.
So in conclusion, what do you say?
I think Reckoning is really, really fun. Like I said, the story is not the best. Voice acting is not the best either. Combat is awesome. And your character development is awesome. There's a ton of stuff to explore, and because of those things, they make up for the sort of less brilliant parts of the game, and that makes it totally worth playing.